Okay, we are live. Hi, this is William Ramsey. Welcome to William Ramsey Investigates. This will be the 8th installment of a series I call Bioweapon Blues. Today is a very important day in the United States. It's October 19th, 2022. It's when the CDC is meeting right now, today and tomorrow, to decide whether to add the kill shot to the vaccine schedule for young children. Very monstrous act if it goes through. The kind of misery, death, and injury will be off the charts. These people are monsters. My theme quotes go back to Shakespeare's Tempest. Hell is empty and all the devils are here. So there's just a whole bunch of new devils. We're going to talk about Fauci, Borla, people who probably should have been arrested by now. Right now, it's a criminal standard, negligent homicide or intentional. We're going to talk about nanotechnology. There's some nanotechnology floating around. It could be behind a lot of the stuff in these shots, which nobody knows what's in them really. And may not even be tested for some of this nanotechnology. I can tell you the mRNA technology is a terrible decision. That's just incredible. But I'm going to start off. This is like an old clip from Josie Wales of Snake Oil Salesman. But yeah, it's just ongoing. So it's not really letting up this whole death and murder fiasco.
Your young friend can use some help. This is it. $1 a bottle. It works wonders on wounds.
Works wonders on just about everything, huh?
It can do most anything.
Up to the stings.
Yeah, these are all snake oil salesmen. They're kind of making it up as they go along. There's also a new movie out, documentary, that I recommend people check out. It's called The Real Anthony Fauci. It's based on Robert F. Kennedy's book of the same title. And I'm going to put Kennedy. This is Robert Kennedy, I think yesterday, talking about how important this whole CDC decision is going to be. And, whether this crazy train can stop, I don't know.
Reinforced work, this kind of advocacy work, is filled with failures and disappointments. And in this case, a lot of tragedies. As you watch people dying, you watch children getting strokes, dying of a heart attack, something we've never seen before. And then you watch the power of the propaganda to reinforce this orthodoxy. People you know and love, smart people, will not look at data. And what I would say is that you've got to stay in the battle. You have to find some place of the spiritual peace to perceive from inside of yourself. What you have to do is your job, which is to get up every morning and say, reporting for duty, sir, and then go educate people, talk back even when it's painful, give people the data, encourage them to come to our site or other places that are telling the truth. Keep getting up every day and don't get discouraged. Find peace inside of yourself by knowing that you're doing the right thing every day, and that getting up and fighting for this is what you were put on this planet to do at this point in history, because it's the biggest issue. This imposition of totalitarian control, the obliteration of democracy, the rise of the security state, the rise of this kind of corporate fascism, that is all part of what I would call the biosecurity industrial complex. And these are the forces of the apocalyptic forces of ignorance and greed. And they are going to take everything from you, including your children and your health. They are going to make you a slave. If you don't fight back, we are headed for a dark place. But our army is building. Nobody goes from our side to their side. Once you're converted, you don't go back. And so our army is growing every day, and they're getting more powerful on their side. They're putting in place this infrastructure of surveillance, of facial recognition systems, of digitalized currencies, of vaccine passports, 24-hour satellite surveillance, and all of these new ways they have of obliterating dissent. So they're getting stronger, but we're getting stronger too. And ultimately, you just have to do your duty. I guess that's maybe depressing advice to some people, but to me, it's heartening.
Yeah, so things are not good. So that was Robert F. Kennedy, Real Anthony Fauci. Check that out. Very good book. This is a known researcher who is saying that deaths are up 17% on Earth.
17.1%, 17
John Campbell.
0.1% more people dying in the first half of 2022 in Australia than we would expect. And this is the same for other countries. And yet this isn't the top of the news every day. Many more people are dying than we would expect in many countries, as we've just looked at. What is going on? What is the cause of this? We need to know this. And yet barely anyone seems to be asking the question. I'm asking the question today, but you probably won't see the question being asked on your official news media outlet today. 17.
So this is Peter McCullough. He is going to say that your chances of myocarditis is 2.5% of getting myocarditis from this shot, which is kind of a death sentence. I think the stats are if you get diagnosed with myocarditis, your life expectancy is 30% or 50% of those people will die within 5 years.
All the time of heart issues. I mean, you've been in this field for decades. You're a cardiologist. Is that true?
It's not true. We have data by Abolio and colleagues from Finland. Before the COVID-19 vaccines, there were 4 cases for myocarditis per million. It can happen with a parvovirus or another virus, 4 per million. The current estimates are now from a prospective cohort study from Bangkok, Thailand, 25,000 cases per million. 25,000 cases per million. Yes, Charlie, it's through the roof. Myocarditis at this point in time is due to the COVID-19 vaccines until proven otherwise.
So, Dr.
Right. From the vaccines until proven otherwise. Hell is empty. Devils are here. These people are monsters. This is one of the injured.
Hi, my name is Rado Filitic, and today marks 12 months of dealing with a serious reaction to the safe and effective product. 12 months ago, I rolled up my sleeve, having been told this product was safe.
And one of the things you have to remember is some of these stats that are coming out. 20 million dead globally, and the injuries are in the tens of millions. So it's off the charts. This is just one story. All these stories are going to come out. They're trying to suppress them. Mark Zuckerberg, who is a monster and a pox on humanity and our society, had died suddenly. News censored off of Facebook. 300,000 subscribers, tons of stories. And I read a lot of those from the first part of the series, Bioweapon Blues 1, 2, and 3. I think covers a lot of those. So at least part of that history will be intact. But there's just more of these stories. I think they're important to listen to because these people have been, their lives have been, unalterably changed, and their health is compromised, and they believe the propaganda. So it's a shame.
This product was safe. And what I've been experiencing is still not on the warning label, despite huge numbers of other people going through the same disaster. My reaction was within a few hours. It was undeniable. I tried communicating with our government drug regulator, expecting that they would be proactive and mount a proper investigation. They've shown precisely zero interest in investigating cases like mine. I've yet to receive even a single phone call from them. The government claims that I don't exist, and it has refused to make any support available to me during this time. Time and time again, people in the public eye, people in government, people who should know better, label human beings like myself fringe operators or anti-vaxxers. Seriously, since when did they decide to turn against ordinary honest citizens? For 12 months, my life has been on hold. For 12 months, I've been experiencing brain fog, chest pain, headaches, electric shocks through my body, abdominal pain, memory loss, racing heart rate, vision difficulties, muscle twitches, dizziness, paresthesia, high blood pressure, itchy skin, conjunctivitis, raised temperature, red bumps on my skin, heart pounding, swollen lymph nodes, lightheadedness, exhaustion, coughs, bloodshot eyes, extreme mood swings, muscle pains, loss of balance and clumsiness, bloating, new food intolerances, loss of feeling in my hands, skin lesions, heart palpitations, muscle wastage, ongoing pain at the injection site, altered taste, joint pain, back pain, internal tremors, ringing in my ears, and exercise intolerance. What happened to me is not rare, despite government propaganda. I simply know too many people dealing with similar issues. All Australians deserve choice based on the facts to take these drugs or not. I never got this choice, as I was never given the facts. If you want to learn the facts and show your support for the many thousands of Australians like me, head to coverse.org.
Yeah, it's coverse.org.au. So you're seeing all of these stories starting to be compiled on different sites outside of social media, which is good. Most of these companies are run by garbage people.
.au and follow the links to register. Thanks for supporting us.
So that's just one story. And these guys are still pushing the death shot. I mean, it's off the charts. Let's see. I think this guy is a clown. This is why you shouldn't watch TV. Listen to this.
So is that new booster effective against this?
This is from yesterday. The whole vaccine schedule, the whole vaccination thing also should also be totally suspect, not just this death shot.
New strain, do we know that yet?
So it appears that the evidence suggests it is effective.
It appears the evidence suggests. Listen to that again. This is on the TV. Like people, if you have a brain, would be like throwing.
Do we know that yet?
So it appears that the evidence suggests it is
booster effective against this new strain. Do we know that yet?
So it appears that the evidence suggests it is effective against death and real disease, right? And that's the issue. The question, of course, is how much does it help with transmission? And I think one of the things that he worries about as somebody who has been boosted and vaccinated, not, of course, this new booster, do people say, I don't really need it? Now, right now, unfortunately, only about 13 to 15 million people have actually taken this new booster. There was a time in America where people were getting boosted and getting the vaccine, 4 million people a day. Right. And so there's a lot of work to be done.
So is that new booster?
Yeah, this guy's a total liar. It's just another garbage person on TV. I don't even know his name. Listen to this again.
So is that new booster effective against this new strain? Do we know that yet?
So it appears that the evidence suggests.
It appears the evidence suggests he probably is saying that to avoid criminal liability or personal liability. Honestly, I think that these guys know the jig is up. Like the people are just done. Wow, incredible. Let's do Borla. He's lying on TV. This he's been caught in so many.
The efficacy actually in our free dose vaccine in children was 80%.
You're talking about efficiency to prevent severe disease or to prevent infection?
To prevent infection.
To prevent infection.
Yes. The
80% efficacy. Yeah, that's nonsense. These guys are snake oil salesmen. But they are.
Decision, they need to understand. And also, I want to tell them that their decision, they need to understand, will not affect only their lives, which at the end of the day, it is their judgment, but will affect the lives of others. Because if they don't vaccinate, they will become the weak link that will allow this virus to replicate.
Also, I want to send a second message for those that they are reluctant maybe to do a vaccine. And they need to understand that this decision, unfortunately in this case, does not affect only their health. Unfortunately, by making this decision, they will become the weak links in the way that the virus is transmitted. And they will enable the virus to be there, and they will risk society's health rather than own health. It's also something that they need to take into consideration. Secondly, in the beginning, when fewer of the population is vaccinated, we should not, I think, relax, and I'm sure that the authorities will not relax all the other measures that are needed, like social distancing, masks, etc.
Yeah, these are all lies. Going back now after what the Pfizer executive said, the woman said to Robert Roos on the EU, they didn't even test for transmission before they sent it out. They had the speed of science to get it out into the marketplace. Unbelievable.
And that will maximize your chances to do well, and that will maximize the chances of people that you love not to get infected. Yeah. You vaccinate not only for yourself, you vaccinate also to protect society, and particularly to protect those that you love the most, because they are the ones that you are together. The goal is to prevent.
And this video is about the children dying. starting to pick up in Australia.
It's going to come. It's going to be the next thing coming, 100%. So babies are enough.
Where are you located?
In Sydney. I won't give names because it's a very clicky business to be in. Some people are not awake in it, so we have to be careful who we talk to and whatever. And we don't care, jabbed or not jabbed, don't care. Everyone just needs to know, don't do the kids. Don't do the kids, guys. They have a life ahead of them, and we're seeing the other side of this, and this is just devastation, absolute devastation.
Yeah, it's crazy. So crazy. And this is Dr. Cole. This is a guy who is a pathologist, so he understands.
So a lot of people don't know that the actual peak of the death is like 5 months out.
Correct.
Do you want to comment on that because you saw the?
Yeah, it's an aggregate of multiple mechanisms, activation of other viruses, spike causing clotting, mitochondrial fatigue, and I would suppose in all of those mechanisms, and there's multiple more. You saw my talk this weekend. It's about anywhere from 12 to 20 mechanisms, but the compounding of those mechanisms over time are obviously causing chronic disease. A great example of this is Dr. Malhotra in the United Kingdom, a cardiologist, prominent cardiologist. His dad was healthy, well, had a good cardiac exam. After his second shot, about 6 months later, his dad passed away. He had
severe coronary disease.
Severe coronary disease. So all these little mechanisms, the spike causes inflammation in the vessels. That's the primary route. Every organ in your body has vessels in it. So if you're causing chronic inflammation in the vessels, you're causing a chronic disease that eventually can lead to failure. In his case, severe atherosclerosis that he didn't have prior. So that's the question: is all these mechanisms, instead of like a wildfire where we see people pass away quickly from probably anaphylaxis from polyethylene glycol, in these patients we're seeing more of a smoldering wildfire until the burden of disease and the burden of inflammation finally adds up to incompatibility with life.
So you could easily...
Incompatibility with life. That's kind of the arterial sclerosis thing I was talking about the last one, Bioweapon 7, which is this endothelial assault where the interior parts of your veins are compromised, scraped away. So it's a total nightmare. This thing should be taken off the market immediately. And this is a really good question that never answers. Oh, well, yeah, you're going to get the mRNA shot, and it's going to produce spike proteins, and that's going to build up your immunity. But nobody knows when that ends. It's unbelievable.
The big question is, who in the world has shown when, even in a mouse model, even in a hamster model, a ferret model, monkey model, when the cells stop making spike protein? The answer is no one knows, because no one's done the study. There's not one study in the world that I've been able to find yet that here's when, in any biological model, the spike protein ceases to be produced. The big question is, who in the world...
Let's see, here's no... This is an incredible one of Fauci congratulating himself on how great he is. This is a family annihilator, a biosphere polluter of the first order. There's all kinds of shedding issues involved. So even if somebody's vaxxed, like these spike proteins can go through their skin and infect other people nearby them. I'm going to show a video. They're going to start injecting cows. So you're going to get spike proteins when you eat. Great.
All the Fauci effect, which is sort of like, trust me, I don't get excited about that. I mean, it's nice, but I mean, people go to medical school now. People are interested in science, not because of me, because most people don't know me, who I am. My friends know me, my wife knows me, but people don't know me. It's what I symbolize, and what I symbolize in an era of the normalization of untruths and lies and all the things you're seeing.
You're one of the biggest provable liars and untruth tellers and misinformation expounders on earth. This guy is a total nut job, man. He should be put in a Hannibal Lecter type thing in a rubber room, man. It's off the charts. I'm surprised nobody's ever really keyed into how crazy this guy is.
The things you're seeing going on in society from January 6th to everything else that goes on, people, the craving for consistency, for integrity, for truth, and for people caring about people.
I think they're all having to kind of go through and really justify their monstrous acts over the last couple of years. And that's probably his attempt to make himself look good, because he doesn't look good in some of these more recent interviews that he does. Yeah, so this is him saying he's just blatantly lying right here.
Do you regret particularly the last one, the shutdown, the sweeping shutdown that some said made things worse?
No, I don't, Neil. And in fact, I think we need to make sure that your listeners understand I didn't shut down anything. I recommended to the president that we shut the country down. And the only way to do that is by draconian means of essentially shutting down a country. We know that we can do that if we shut down.
Well, I think one of the things you really need to do, to the extent that you can shut down temporarily.
Yeah, that was supposed to be 2 weeks, if you remember.
The country,
Time that shutting down would have such a dramatic effect on controlling the spread. Obviously, we would have shut down earlier. There are those who say you shut down, you do destructive things by disrupting the economy. And others say, well, if you save so many infections by shutting down, why didn't you shut down 2 weeks earlier? But I don't regret saying that the only way we could have really stopped the explosion of infection was by essentially, I want to say shutting down, I mean essentially having the physical separation and the kinds of recommendations that we've made.
You've been a big fan of Cuomo and the shutdown in New York. You've lauded New York for their policy. New York had the highest death rate in the world. How can we possibly be jumping up and down and saying, oh, Governor Cuomo did a great job? He had the worst death rate in the world.
No.
This is interesting. I don't know if this is what like it's before.
Obviously, we can't just turn off the spigot on the system we have and then say, hey, everyone in the world should get this new vaccine we haven't given to anyone yet. But there must be some way.
you have to prove that this works. And then you've got to go through all of the clinical trials, phase 1s, phase 2s, phase 3, and then show that this particular product is going to be good over a period of years. That alone, if it works perfectly, is going to take a decade.
There might be a need or even an urgent call for an entity.
Some of these videos do not have great sound quality, so I apologize in advance. I'll try to equalize this for the audio. Let's go back out. This is another lie. He's not. This whole thing has been proven a lie. This is a recent interview he did October 16th, 2022. And he talks about the I think it's the 1,500 kids who died from COVID supposedly, but somebody, I think it was Dr. Rose, went through and found that they all those children that supposedly died of COVID had comorbidity. So they were at the end of the rope anyway. They just were not in good shape. So I think he's
so many localities to see schools closed as long as they were.
I think in some case, I don't want to use the word mistake, John, because if I do, it gets taken out of the context that you're asking me the question on.
Well, was it too high a price?
Yeah, I would say that what we should realize and have realized that there will be deleterious collateral consequences when you do something like that. This idea that this virus doesn't afflict children is not so. It does. We've lost close to 1,500 kids so far.
Yeah, you have to go back and check those facts. I think that these were all faked death, the faked 1,500, that they were all turned out to be already sick children that they just said they died of COVID. So this is another lie. I think you can prove that he's lying.
So that it does afflict children. So it isn't without.
And then you can go back and look at the stats. There's one we're going to go over the stats of a guy from Stanford who said that the COVID virus they're talking about was even less lethal than what they were saying. This came out yesterday. Ioannidis, he had a long Greek last name.
Go back, and I ask anybody to go back.
It's a snake oil salesman. These are all snake oil salesmen. They all probably have some financial interest in one way or another.
Over the number of times that I've said we've got to do everything we can to keep the schools open, no one plays that clip. They always come back and say Fauci was responsible for closing schools. I had nothing to do. I mean, let's get down to the facts.
Yeah, he's lying right there too. So this is a full. This is a guy, and this is another video that I came across. That's got the shot and dropped. Oh yeah, this is the one. This is another flop on live TV. Lady in green goes down. These people have like catastrophic control. They don't like, oh, I feel bad, I'm going to go lie down. They flop. There's another monster who's gotten. He's all changing their stickers. They're all upset too.
There was a clip that went viral this week, as I'm sure you saw, a back and forth between a politician in Europe and a Pfizer executive around this issue of transmission. And I think there's a lot of questions about actually whether we know how much these vaccines prevent transmission, which is the whole sort of backbone of the idea of trying to prevent this from a societal perspective and trying to do this for others and not just yourself.
Right. Remember when the original vaccine was approved?
My mic is not getting muffled. These are just low audio clips. They're not loud. Jeez. Let's go find something else. Okay, oh, this is another guy who dropped and flopped on live. His name was Micah. He was a Haitian musician. You can just see him kind of walking up if you're watching on the live stream. He just walks off, and then they can't be resuscitated. Something incredible. It's incredible stuff. In a biblical event. But the control media would just tell you everything's just totally normalized. This is a guy talking about the mRNA they're going to put into cows.
Using special technology, meaning that any bit of meat or food that you get will be DNA altered using a particle sort of whatever they do, right? How does that relate to everything that we do here, right? I know that you might be here watching for finance. A lot of people might be sitting here thinking, Nathan, I remember when you used to do renovations. That's what made me follow you. People might be sitting here going, Nathan, you used to be cool when you're on TV and all those sorts of things that I used to do. I'm just calling out bullshit when I see it. I'm calling out very bad things that are happening from your government, from your media, from your corporations. We're being brainwashed and using special.
Yeah, so that's the mRNA they put in cows. Stu Peters show.
And so, I mean, nobody sees the facts more than you, Steve, and you, John. What are you seeing on the ground? You're fighter, paramedics. You're there, the first line of response.
Yeah, so they're not. This is bad audio. I did the last show, Dan. I did include those kind of weird spinning ones. I think it was show 6 actually. Pfizer has the largest video fine, $2.3 billion. There's a clip I have of that, but this is a horrible injury in Australia.
Sending you back
positive vibes, thinking of happy birthday, Mary, happy birthday.
This woman has a complete
sending you
Bell's palsy on the side of her face that's been stuck like that for a year. So you can add that to the list. Go ask your doctor, if a booster shot, they put in emergency use authorization, you don't know what's in it, test it on 8 mice. That causes incredible amounts of disability and injury. I mean, this most recent, was it the what is it? The most recent documents that came out of Walensky were that like 15% of the people had an injury. It's a huge number. If you just extrapolate on how many people have taken the shot, there's tens of millions of people injured so far. Tens of millions of people injured so far. So I'm going to go through some of these slides that I put together. This is one. This is an incredible one. Like the fact checker lies about the facts on Twitter. It's really something else. It's really something else. This is Jordan Schachtel. I'll put a link to his stuff. He's doing good work. He says the gaslighting begins. The CEO of Pfizer board member Scott Gottlieb, and virtually every major government health official says the shots stop transmission. The legacy media brought to you by Pfizer is activated for the cover-up. Yes, they are. This is Vivek Murthy, the U.S. Surgeon General, October 4th, getting his immunity, whatever. It doesn't make you immune, so I wouldn't even call it that. A reminder, in May 2021, the CDC itself published an official report claiming that A, the vaccines prevented symptomatic COVID, and B, that only a small percentage of fully vaccinated people would be infected by the SARS-CoV-2 virus. So they put out that information as fake. And this is another one. This is a tweet back from Pfizer, 13th of January, 2021. The ability to vaccinate at speed to gain herd immunity and stop transmission is our highest priority. So they intended to stop transmission, but their internal testing didn't test for transmission. It's incredible. It's just a huge scandal, man. Unbelievable. Just full snake oil. And this is the AP fact check I was mentioning. Pfizer never claimed to have tested the impact of its COVID-19 vaccine on transmission ahead of its 2020 release. Despite misleading claims suggesting they lied about that issue, they just omitted from telling it. Omission is the greatest form of lie. They stated in other places that they were trying to stop transmission. I just proved that. You can go back to this earlier slide. Right, that's from Pfizer. So this fact check is just another liar. The whole fact check structure, infrastructure, and social media is a complete and total joke. No human being with a brain needs a fact check. It's so preposterous. Such studies were conducted after its rollout. Here is the facts. Yeah, no, they aren't. This is Dr. Nagais came upon a copy of Canada's 1954 criminal code, discovered a law on spreading misinformation, fake news as an actual crime. That same law was removed by Canada's sitting parliament in 2019, right before the pandemic emerged. Interesting. And you can go back to, 201, where they literally had like the head of the CIA was talking about information, misinformation, all that stuff. Here's Borla. COVID-19 vaccine was 100% effective in preventing COVID-19 cases in South Africa. Then August 15, 2022, I tested positive for COVID-19. I have mild symptoms. This is Burb saying October 14th, 2022. Doctors have changed the phone system. Phoned up last week, and the first thing on the message was about if you have heart difficulties to immediately dial 999. Guess something's getting worse. It probably is. Mango says, my workplace has revised its death in service policy this week. They must be anticipating something. And this is a kind of an old article. It's earlier this year, May, how COVID vaccines damage the cardiovascular system. It sure does. Paul Thacker, after consulting with my editor in response to numerous requests from reporters in different countries, we've decided to unlock Tuesday's article titled, Weber Shandwick provides PR for Moderna and Pfizer while staffing the CDC's vaccine office. It's incredible. Carol says, I'm on Twitter a fair amount, and I've never seen so many people posting about friends or family who are being rushed to the hospital, new devastating diagnoses, or even worse, dying. It's actually quite disturbing. Does anyone else notice this? It's rampant. All caps, October 10th, 2022. So when are the fact checkers going to address this harmful misinformation? Is it still true that COVID vaccination is, quote, an individual decision within society with societal consequences? And it says Washington Post, the choice to remain unvaccinated is equivalent to driving while intoxicated. And this is opinion 2021. Remaining unvaccinated in public should be considered as bad as drunken driving. And all these people were like laughing in people's face for like not taking the vax. It's all like psyop propaganda stuff. A lot of these people were probably just trying to shame people. They were vectors for putting out that kind of idea into the thing that you're going to risk other people and that you deserve to die. That's another one. Repulsive. If you aren't vaccinated and other people need an ICU bed, we should unplug you, throw you in the family station wagon, and wish you good luck. I'll even throw in the ivermectin for free. An anti-vaxxer dies of COVID. Even the term anti-vaxxer is a joke. Doesn't mean you're against the vaccine. I'm against this vaccine. I'm against most of all other vaccines. Because I don't know what's in them. I don't trust any of these people. They're putting in aluminum, things that are known toxic items. Like, you see aluminum on it there. It's like, why would you take that? Do you empathize, February? So there's just so many things. There's another monster. This is Paul Alexander. I've mentioned him in earlier shows. He worked under Trump. Dr. Ashish Jha plans to follow the evidence and boost his 10-year-old. If you really follow the evidence, wouldn't give a shot to anybody. He recommends you do too. There's other things to solutions. You don't have, they always push these vaccines, not therapeutics, not ivermectin, not hydroxychloroquine, not vitamins, something that they pay for. And I mentioned that in the last show that they've over purchased all over the world these death shots, and people are not taking them. So it's just a huge scandal, waste of money, billions of dollars in Europe. Our Moderna C19 injections about to be recalled. It's October 14th. If the injections were baby powder or a jetliner or a car with a defect, they would be. This is October 15th. Naomi Wolf is being targeted and slandered and smeared and canceled by British government Ofcom for her appearance on Mark Steyn's show discussing harms to babies and women due to COVID vaccine. They're not saying she is wrong. It's just that her statements are data, and data are harmful. Harmful how? Because she tells the truth? They cannot debate her and show her data is wrong, so cancel her due to facts. Yep. Pfizer, Moderna, and FDA, the unholiest of alliances, corrupted to the very core, did not test if the COVID gene injection stopped transmission. What else did they not test for? Dr. Coops weighs in, so you can read all these. I'll put links to his stuff. This is David. He says, this is October 14th. So I turned up to work this morning, and I've had to go on a training course to learn how to use a defibrillator. The local authority says cardiac arrests and major heart incidents are up by 74% in the last year. Holy effing S. It's all unraveling before our eyes now. I think I may have mentioned that last time. Oh, no. And then I asked somebody, every 20 yards along Great Yarmouth, and I said, every 20 yards is what? And he responded, defibrillator. Wow. And this is another kind of purveyor of fear. Eric Fiegelding. This new variant CDC has been minting. It's surging over 11%. This is horrifying. Texas Vaccine Policy Symposium declares the anti-vax a threat to public health. If the unvaccinated become a protected class, the spread of such diseases is likely to escalate. The right to individual autonomy is not absolute. Wow. Most are not, this is Michael Osborne, I think he was vaccine injured. Most are not okay with eating a raw egg because of the 1 in 20,000 risk of salmonella, which causes diarrhea and vomiting. Most okay with getting COVID when triply vaccinated, despite the 120 risk of long COVID, which causes diarrhea, vomiting, brain damage, and much more. It's October 14th, 2022. This is Ian. Pfizer in January 2021. The ability to vaccinate at speed to gain herd immunity and stop transmission is our highest priority. Pfizer in October 2022. We had absolutely no idea if our vaccine would be remotely effective at stopping transmission. Nailed it again. Yeah. It's another demon from hell. Walensky. Court orders CDC to release data showing 18 million vaccine injuries in America. That was October 14th. America was warned by top medical professional scientists and even the TN that these shots were harming millions of people in America and around the world. The truth will now come out, and all who took mRNA shots must strive to rebuild their immune system and detox their bodies. The long-term effects will take a huge toll. TN editor. Germany to burn 800 million unused COVID masks. And this is what I mentioned today. That the FDA and CDC are going to go over whether to add this death shot to their vaccine regimen. So the toll on the kids is going to be off the charts. These are like Molech level child sacrifice monsters. They're just literal demons from hell. This is a poor guy who said, I'm going to use myself as a test for the vax. So if I survive, it's good. If I die, you'll know. And then he died. His name is Doug Brignol. And I'll show his story. This is the acquisition into the vaccines in the EU. So there's a criminal investigation going on. There's a lot of long COVID. Millions of people are suffering with this kind of long disease. And I think I mentioned in one of these vaccines, they took the blood out. Everybody who takes the shots, their blood has abnormalities, I think, was one study. But another showed that these guys, there's certain components of their plasma is missing in these long COVID people. So they have something kind of like AIDS, like a immunity deficiency. You can thank, Fauci and these bums for it. I mentioned Hodgkinson's. He was the one who put out the 20 million deaths, 2.2 billion injuries, assumed injuries. And I can't verify that. That's another guy, Peter Halligan, mentioned that. So it's just an astonishing number. It's unbelievable. The title of this is The COVID Vaccine and Infertility, Sterility, Excess Deaths, and Sad Sudden Acquired Death Syndrome. And there's these new rapid onset cancers. When cancer strikes an adult under the age of 50, doctors call it early onset case. These cancers at younger ages are becoming more common. What's the causation? This is just another story. If you got long COVID after being fully vaccinated and boosted, or got it after a reinfection, what has your case been like? And Geo says, 2 times vax when I got Delta, December 21. First week, cognitive dysfunction, tight chest, but able to carry on working. Hit with tachycardia on day 10, then fatigue. This resolved. Went for a run after 4 weeks, then crashed into extreme dysautonomia POTS, mostly bedbound for 9 months. This is a young man who died from the vax, Sean Hartman, Canadian. This is a guy talking about his injury. I get down some days, everything I and my kids have been through. But reading this, I realize I'm the lucky one. I said no, paid and paying for that choice, but I'm without the injury from the shot. All the best to you going forward, Louis says. Respect for sticking to your principles. Wish I had known what the government knew, that it caused severe neurological damage before I got the shot, thinking it wouldn't be a big deal. Informed consent should be more informative. So many suffering unnecessarily. It's unconscionable. Yeah, it is. Louis also writes, it's my 18th month regret-iversary of the shot they lied and said was safe. 60 doctor's appointments, 30 symptoms, no improvement. I did what the government asked, but Senator Hick, Joe Biden have ignored the vaccine injured, left for dead with no health, no disability, no help, no hope. A lawsuit against the CDC forced them to release the VSafe data. That's it. That's the Walensky data. VSafe data showing 783,000 people sought medical attention following their shots. That was after a control group of 10 million. So 1/10 of them. What these cowards don't realize is that many red-pilled V-injured voted for them, and turning your backs on 3.25 million doesn't bode well for re-election. Politicians need to do the right thing by acknowledging and researching adverse reactions, investigate the agencies, reform the CICP, VICP, and create ICD-10 codes to recognize this condition like many other countries are doing to help their people. Since my immune system appears to be killing me slowly after my second Moderna shot 1.5 years ago, I'll continue to help those who have a better chance at recovering with the government. While the government ignores us, pharma profits off us, media censors us, doctors dismiss us, and public stigmatizes us. Since my account will be nuked anytime, follow react19.org, a science-based nonprofit supporting the vaccine injured. Despite having no home or income, I haven't made a personal fundraiser, but rather promote donations to React 19 to help others in need. Parting words: don't trust the government, don't believe the media, avoid pharma poison, advocate for yourself, speak your truth, value freedom, love friends, F haters, live in the moment, have fun, pet dogs, eat tacos, don't stress over BS. Nothing matters beyond your health. Yes, you're right. And then this is a report, Eric Topol. This is fairly recent, but it keeps saying there's zero evidence that vaccines cause infertility in men. Some of the studies, the internal studies of Pfizer on these shots showed that there was problems with their own product. It's incredible. 50% increase in miscarriages, 50% decrease in fertility after COVID vaccines. Steve Kirsch, October 15th, 2022. But Eric Topol says there's no evidence that the vaccine causes harm. That's reassuring. So, Eric, isn't it? If it isn't the vaccine, what is causing it? He blocked me. Can you ask him? Criminal prosecutions of Big Pharma needed. This is Dr. Alexander on the Alex Jones Show, October 13th. Susanna writes, thanks to my Pfizer vaccine injury 18 months ago, my whole life changed. I went from triathlons to my teenagers pushing me in a wheelchair to go more than 2 blocks. Hashtag vaccine injuries. So another one, highly dangerous toxic heavy metals inside the COVID shot. The pandemic was there to scare you into accepting the injection as a voluntary euthanasia against yourself. This is another overspend. France set to throw away 30 million COVID vaccines worth $500 million after shambolic campaign. October 3rd, 2022. This is another study, andrology. COVID-19 vaccination temporarily impairs semen concentration and total motile count among semen donors. June 2022. This is another monster. He says Moderna CEO confirms new mRNA injection to repair heart muscles after heart attack. So they're going to profit off their own monstrosity. They're monsters. There's different information out there. ER doc. Funny, I haven't seen a single myocarditis case from COVID yet. As a full-time ER doc in almost 3 years, doesn't jive with clinical experience. Claimed journalist, these peddlers of disinformation have now gone from, quote, it does not cause myocarditis, unquote, to, quote, it causes myocarditis, but it's no big deal, unquote. Change their story. They're changing, all have to change their story. What benefits did you get from the Pfizer jab? Symptoms are less severe. That's unknowable. Prevents transmission. They've admitted they never determined that it was true. But myocarditis and aggressive cancers. Too bad Pfizer didn't just scam us with the placebo. Yeah, really. Why didn't they just give out a placebo? Why did they give something out that's harmful? It doesn't work. Trudeau must go. I remember when CTV said myocarditis was just a conspiracy theory. SADS sounds better than genocide. Yeah, it does. Danny writes, Twitter banned Dr. Peter McCullough on October 6th for a well-researched video about myocarditis in children was the final straw for the Twitter tyrants. Their side effects are massively underreported. Here's what they don't want you to see. This is another one. This man, Eric Topol, has been awful for most of the last 2 years. IMHO. Now he's going out of his way to downplay the serious cardiac side effect. Show some empathy and compassion, Eric. I never heard the term, quote, mild myocarditis, unquote, before 2020, and I've been a doctor for a few years. And Eric writes, it's usually mild with complete recovery in most. No, that's not the case. The real stats about myocarditis, my understanding, is 30 to 50% don't make it past 5 years. This is Lioness of Judah Ministry, premeditated mass murder, alarming data from Canada and vaccines batch scandal. Dr. Michael Yeadon, who I've featured on this series a number of times. There can only be strategic intent here, not mishap or even coincidence. You can go back and look at these. This is from earlier this year, May 2022, the vaccine scandal. Shaney writes, is microplatelet activation endothelial damage testing close to being rolled out in the UK yet? Soon it'll be 2 years since such issues were found in long COVID patients, yet we've still got charlatans saying all the tests are normal. Frustrating beyond words. Correlation in Japan is just ridiculous. Every kink, dark line vaccines, pale line cases. So the vaccines correlated with the cases. Missy writes, I'm Pfizer vaccine injured. It's been an awful nightmare for a whole year. Constant pain, ER visits, doctor appointments, specialists, and to no avail. I have lost friends, loved ones distanced from me, and don't believe me, and gaslit by health professionals. Yeah, because they don't know how to categorize your injury. That's the real problem. They've never seen anything like it before. So it's a tragedy. Laura, long COVID. I want to share something about supplements. Recently, I had a Genova blood and urine test, which looks at what's going on inside our cells. It came back with some interesting findings. Despite regular injections of B12 and recent blood tests showing my folate higher than 20, I was still deficient at a cellular level. My nutritionist has taken me off all supplements apart from a few for gut health. I have dysbiosis. A magnesium and B complex powder and pine needles tea. I was over supplementing for sure, which has harmed, not helped me. I'm also on HRT and ivabradine and mitrodine for POTS. I showed high oxidative stress, so she has put me on a low oxalate, low histamine diet, which is very high in oxalate. My problem, I'm sure, is my gut health and my poor absorption. So Jordan writes, it was clear that Scott Gottlieb was an evil character well before the mNRA junk came out. He was one of the chief promulgators of COVID hysteria, pushing lockdowns to set up time for Pfizer to cash in. He deserves a lifetime sentence. That's October 15th, 2022. Yep, a shame. A pharma puppet for any agenda. He helped secure a vaping ban for competitive interests. As long as he gets paid, he will pursue any objective, even if it harms millions of lives. One of the most corrupt public-private officials ever. This is Scott Gottlieb. CNBC, the Wall Street Journal, etc. are on the payroll too. Gottlieb is merely the man they choose to send out. It's all scripted. The columns, the TV appearances, everything else. Don't worry, he didn't ever pick up a pen or type a single word. Just one of the perks of having a megacorp by endless media hits for you. This is Scott Gottlieb talking. He's just pushing all the fear and stuff. Got to get more vaccines out there. And then he's upset that people threatened him. I'm concerned about physical threats being made for people's safety. Yeah, what if you push these vaccines and hurt somebody's child or family member? And you said it was safe and effective when it wasn't safe and it wasn't effective. They trusted you. You're a liar. Lies led to injury or death. I don't know. I don't know how you can get your thing. And Scott Gottlieb has fingers in many pies. We can go through the list. He's just a total big pharma stooge. Student athlete Drew Rulicki, another 21-year-old player, dies. This is Doug Brignall, who I just mentioned, the bodybuilder who passed away after taking the vax, stating, "I have enough confidence in the vaccine based on my research to get it done. Those of you who think the vaccine kills people can use me as a test. If I die, you were right. If I don't die and have no ill effects, you were wrong and should admit it." There he is, dead. Sad news, bodybuilder, author, trainer, champion Doug Brignall has passed away today. Cause of death still to be determined. So, shame. He's super healthy. No body fat. There's like a tweet from him. He was asking for help from a doctor. 30th of September, so just recently. I would like you to contact you, Dr. Unger. Can you send me an email, please? Daniel writes, my biggest issue with long COVID is insomnia. I haven't had a decent sleep without medication since the end of July. And then he has a thread of what is working for him. So this is a question from one of the EU members. How is it possible for Pfizer and Moderna to have run testing trials before the world even knew what was in the virus? This is Alberta. This is just recently. Alberta security guards saw hundreds of adverse reaction at COVID clinics. There's a whole story about it. I'm not going to read it. Wokosaurus says probably. They have zero data that it prevents transmission. It's their guess. It doesn't now and never has prevented transmission. If that was the case, then why, when Israel was 80% vaccinated, was it still spreading and required multiple boosters? This is a vaccine injured. This is how bad my skin is since my first dose. I'm 35 with skin like my grandmother. I was not aware of these side effects. I did not consent for my skin to be aged. None of this was mentioned in the side effect list. So nobody really says, so we're back to presumptions, and he clearly says, we don't know anything until we do a clinical trial, which they haven't done at this point other than 8 mice. So once again, the citizens are the experiment. Yeah, that's the most recent. It's not even a booster. It boosts you into a grave. That's what it boosts you. The first 2 didn't do it, so you take that booster and then it kills you. Adele bans unvaccinated fans from attending upcoming concerts. This is Dr. Leslyn Lewis. We need an inquiry. Politicians and health experts promised Canadians that the vax would prevent transmission. Pfizer admits it never tested for that. Its executives sat in silence while trusted officials gave incorrect info to the public. That's just wrong. Of course it is. There's the AP fact check again. Then this is Dr. Urso. After you screw up, make sure to erase your tracks that you may get away with murder. Wow, they have no shame. This is Maxime Bernier. Big pharma, politicians, health officials, and the media have been outright lying to us for 2 years about the efficacy and safety of the, quote, vaccine, unquote. Good. At least he says that word in quotes. Shaney writes, the difficulty breathing in, elephant sitting on chest feeling alongside nonstop high-pitched tinnitus and swollen lymph nodes really isn't the ideal way to be spending a Friday evening. But then long COVID cares not for Friday evenings. These guys all complain of kind of the same things. They have just like full body dysfunction. This is a meme. Dr. Baffled. Dr. Baffled can't understand why so many people have rare conditions or why children are having heart attacks while he takes money. He's completely baffled. The shedhead phenomenon and how to fix it. This is Dr. Groove, some health protocols. This is a tweet. Says, Vax neighbor decided to chat outside in the yard for 5 minutes. Headache started an hour after. Woke up with a heavy head and odd headache. 5th time this has happened in under 2 years. Saffron fixed it instantly. Always neutralizes shed head. This is another guy, kind of a gifted academic who suffering from long COVID. Ravi Varaya Jacques. There's a long article about that. There's another monster. Tony Blair Institute, quote, delivering the one-shot vision will save millions of lives, billions of dollars, and help to address vast health inequalities, creating a more prosperous, healthier, more resilient societies. This is Steve Kirsch, October 16th, 2022. The DOJ wanted to pursue criminal action against the vaccine makers, but the lower level guys were called off the case by their management. The justice isn't going to come from DC, guys. Call your local attorney general if your state isn't corrupt. They're the ones who really should be doing these the inquiries, the fact aggregating, the putting together the facts, stuff like that. This is somebody I talked to, Mark Girardeau. I mentioned him in one of the last two talks, but he's saying, I'm still horrified at the fact that these particles end up transfecting even diffusely the endothelium. Vaccine technology needs a complete overhaul as the endothelium is a precious organ. As I've stated multiple times these past 6 months, I'm firmly convinced the circulating spike isn't the problem. I don't see how the spike isolated in an exosome and diluted into the bloodstream would be any different. In the coming days, I will add a number of important proof points to continue explaining why it can't be the spike. Then this is Ryan Cole. I played his videos. How to ascertain death from a vax. You can just see some of the injuries here. Digital necrosis in a patient with pre-existing autoimmunity. Fingertip necrosis that began 3 days after receiving the first dose. Frame of Mind says, quote, I'll just put this politely and straightforward. As a funeral director, I did not start seeing sudden deaths, aggressive cancers, cerebral hemorrhages, and other cardiovascular issues, especially in 20 to 50 years olds, until the rollout of the mandate experimental procedures. I know the medical community wants to address everything else except the obvious. And for this, more people will most likely pass away, but they won't do the necessary screening on young individuals who took this procedure and may be at risk. Judy writes, in August, Mom passed. Turns out there's a casket shortage. The funeral director said more dying this past year than ever before. I also had blood work recently. I asked the gal who took it, seen anything weird lately in the samples? And she said, yes, tiny white things, never saw before. Dick responded, I've had 3 close friends diagnosed with blood clots in their lungs after the 3rd jab. All healthy, slim, young 60-somethings. 2 of 3 non-smokers. One was told last week he should start making end-of-life preparations. Kind of makes you sit back and go, oh, IMO. And this is Fauci flopping on the mask. Sometimes it's kind of a learned helplessness when somebody keeps giving you multiple propagandistic, alternating facts. You just kind of give up and stop thinking. It's actually a known technique. Jay Levy says, I know my life is going to be cut short. I feel this inevitably in my bones. What a effing horror story I have found myself in. This slow death is a nightmare. Long COVID. And I've stated that in my other talks. These are people disabled, people have unfortunately died, passed away, murdered. But then there's people in between life and death, people who aren't going to come out of this and are in kind of a vegetative state where they sleep 20 hours a day. It's ongoing. Newsom just mandated death shots for all the students in California. So I don't know how many kids he's going to kill and maim, but it's going to be a lot. It's a big state, 35 million people. So it's just sad to watch these people who've been injured. Georgie says the vax injured need to call their state reps and demand accountability from the vax makers and march on Washington, I think is in order. Jay Levy says, I already way effing sick before the vax rolled out. March 2020, buddy. Reinfection with COVID, infection with other viruses, and overexertion were major players in my decline. Then there's long COVID's linked to suicide. Scientists warn of hidden crisis. I'm sure they won't be qualified as deaths from the vax or anything like that. Just more injuries. This is an interesting story by Jay about his son who ended up with autism after taking the MMR 2009. So he was very suspicious of this whole shot program. Elias Said, of the 128 patients that I admitted over the past 2 months, 0 had positive screen test on admission. All admissions get tested. I have not admitted a single patient for COVID in 4 months. I have not intubated a single patient for COVID in a year. So it's over. This is remember the opening ceremony of the London 2012 Olympics with the giant figure of death holding a needle, nurses dancing, and the children in hospital beds. It's starting to make a lot more sense now. They've had this plan for a long time. Trish, got a phone call this evening from my friend's husband. She died this morning after a back injury. Leaves behind 2 kids. This is just another fear thing. Nightmare COVID variant that beats our immunity is finally here. And then this is a PANDA position review about the vaccines. It's a comprehensive multidisciplinary review that found that the mass COVID-19 vaccination has been a failed experiment. Yeah, it has. It's a total failure. Mass public health measures always involve a trade-off between expected benefits and known and potential risks or harms. Harms include both short-term and long-term or intergenerational harms. Separately, they must at all times comply with basic human rights requirements. These fundamental realities have been ignored in much of the public health response to the COVID-19 event, including mass vaccination. Yeah, I think it was planned. I think that you have to go back, and I think that it was Bregan's book about the pandemic. I can't remember the title of it, but McCullough mentions his book, and it has a timeline of the build-up to it. So the virus may have been intentionally released to get the vaccines into you, which is super disturbing. And then the fentanyl death. So you're kind of under a bio assault. The United States is under bio war. It's kind of, I think it's kind of a World War III event. I think you're in World War III actually now. This is the poor guy who passed away on stage. McCaben. Paul Alexander, cancer and COVID-19 vaccines. Are the COVID vaccines causing a sharp rise in cancers, and how bad can it get? The COVID vaccine is deranging the immune system, and April 2021 was the inflection point. October 17th, Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla has said that the company is not certain if its COVID-19 vaccine can prevent coronavirus transmission after vaccination. Wow. It's off the charts. Aldous writes, it's wrong to claim that Pfizer didn't test the vaccine for transmission or efficacy. They actually tested it on billions of people last year. They even charged those test subjects $37 billion for the privilege. And yep, turns out it still doesn't work. Hashtag Pfizergate, hashtag Pfizer lied. Yeah, they did. There's Scott Gottlieb. Jordan writes, I wrote this about Scott Gottlieb 2 years ago before the mRNA even appeared. He's one of the most evil human beings of this era. The COVID-19 hustler, Scott Gottlieb, big pharma and billions of dollars. Yeah, monsters. Hell is empty and all the devils are here. He's just another one of them. These guys should all, and he wrote a very long article back in 2020. Gottlieb has raked in millions while his patrons make billions for the pandemic. Biden administration extends COVID-19 public health emergency. They're just going to say it's an emergency forever. So it's just a total farce. This is so outrageous, so corrupt. These people are so evil. Oh my God. Just monsters. I mean, just they don't care about it. This is another monster. I have a really hard time looking at Walensky. She wrote back in Fortune that this is October, but I think it was a year ago she wrote, CDC Director Rochelle Walensky this week declared that vaccinated people do not carry the virus. So that was her big lie. Just complete baloney. Another monster. There it is, the headline 2021. It's official. Vaccinated people do not transmit COVID-19. Epoch News, Epoch Times. Adults aged 35 to 44 died at twice the expected rate last summer. Life insurance data suggests. This is another one. This is Dr. James Thorpe. The COVID vaccine in pregnancy is going to make the disasters of DES and thalidomide look like prenatal vitamins. It's going to be, I mean, you're at the tip of, you're just at the beginning of it. We're just at the beginning of it. Bus driver dies after medical episode at the wheel and crashing double-decker into BMW in a house. So these people are croaking at work. So this is the new study from John Ioannidis I mentioned earlier. New study from Ioannidis, COVID's IFR in 2020 was less than 0.1% for those under 70, even lower than previously believed. Infection fatality rate is what the acronym stands for. Global domination, yeah. I mean, I think you're in a World War III bioweapon assault. This is another recent article, October. This is out of Israel. Increased emergency cardiovascular events among under 40 population in Israel during vaccine rollout and third COVID-19 wave. My friend who died yesterday sent me this when she was in hospital in June. I stupidly got the first 2 COVID injections last year, and my heart has been going too fast since. I've developed atrial fibrillation, which has a scientifically proven link to the vaccine. I'm blaming it anyway, and no one admits it, but certainly not arguing with me. So glad I didn't get the boosters. Driving with the Truth Mobile. As a nurse, I'm seeing a huge increase in AFib or atrial fibrillation post-vax. The vaccine is definitely causing it. It's in the Pfizer documents as a potential side effect. Cardiologists know this too. Sadly, clots are a risk factor for AFib, and we all know people are throwing clots left and right. Missing responds, sorry for your loss. Mom and uncle both had heart surgery following jabs. Father was paralyzed briefly during Omicron infection and had sepsis. A friend has AFib. Both cousins and another friend had the Pfizer flutters. This nightmare has a long way to go. Yeah, you're right. Long way to go. KSS writes, I developed stage 2 hypertension after my first and only jab. I was hoping it would go down on its own, but it ended up going to the doctor for 3 months in and now on meds for the foreseeable future. Matinee Idol says, oh, I'm so sorry for your loss. What a waste of life. My mate was 42, had 3 jabs, and has left a wife and 2 kids. Disgusting. Liberty responds, I'm sorry, Trish. I lost a very close friend who died shortly after being, quote, vaccinated, unquote. His faith in the corporate news media cost him his life. Yeah, it did. Next, is it just me or are many people dying almost a year to the date of their second shot? Next, I'm the same. Had the first 2, developed skin issues ever since, heart palpitations and lack of energy. And yet the doctors admit nothing or won't admit I need treatment. Before the vaccine, I was in perfect health. And Jamie Sale writes, government reports prove COVID vaccination is killing hundreds of thousands every week. And confidential Pfizer docs confirm your government knew it would happen. This is just an example of your corrupt government. Congress just voted to exempt themselves from IRS auditing of their personal finances to, quote, keep the country stable. That's their rationale. What this is blunt force takeover. Of course, this is meant to hide bribes, theft, and embezzlement. All the checks and balances are dead people. Just in. Criminal FDA grants emergency use authorization for updated mRNA death vax booster injections in children as young as 5. Yeah, they're child murderers, man. They're kill kids with this. This is kind of the clots, the fibrous clots that have been found, and kind of researched that even before I started this Bioweapon Blues series, but they're being found in there, and that may be the slough off of people's cells. I don't really know. But people, they've never seen anything like this. They're not made out of blood, but that may be how bad, like, the shots are putting Drano in your arteries and stuff. Stephen writes, I spoke to a physician friend today about a teenager who died from a rapid onset neurologic illness of unknown cause. It was a somber conversation. I've never seen anything like this in all my years of practice. We're experiencing an unprecedented shift in our societal health. Yeah, we are. Now, the response is excess spike proteins produced by the body as a result of the mRNA vaccines. We all know excess protein buildup in the brain causes dementia, neurological issues, and the dreaded prion diseases, which misfiled proteins causing sure death. Spike protein higher than natural infection, bad. Melchizedek responds, what Mr. McCulling is saying right now, I agree with 100%. It is the vax that is causing this until proven otherwise. Already have been too many coincidences, not mathematically even possible. You work for Big Pharma or WEF if you are saying it's not the vax. Another one, friend had after booster immune system shut down, started attacking organs, has to get chemo for the rest of his life. This is another part of the doses scandal. What happened to 4.3 billion doses in New Zealand, Australia, Canada, UK, EU, and the US? What happened to them, right? They overpurchased them. Fraud, grift, graft. This is just another person who is sick. Just I've read thousands and thousands of stories. Just thousands and thousands, tens of millions of people suffering. Gwen writes, one of the parts of long COVID I don't talk about is how much of the time I wish COVID had killed me. It's worse when the brain fog clears because I'm more acutely aware of how much this has destroyed everything I had built and worked towards my whole life. Wow. These guys are family annihilators, Dr. Evil, killers, monsters. There has to be a trial. There has to be some kind of Nuremberg something. It has to probably come from the States. It's not going to, I mean, Merrick Garland is a joke. It already should have happened. And I mean, Biden is like demented at the wheel. The number of people who are presenting with advanced and unfortunately often incurable cancers in their 20s and 30s definitely seems to be skyrocketing. It's from Action News. This is how low the real risk was. Ioannidis, new preprint shows infection fatality rate, the IFR, of COVID in non-elderly people pre-vaccination was lower than previously suggested. That's the Stanford talk. 0.0003% in 0 to 19-year-olds. So those are the people that they're going to vaccinate against. It's so outrageous. These are criminal acts. I don't know. I have any idea what's going on with the federal government and the prosecutors. It's incredible. I mean, Ioannidis and Stanford pretty legit. I don't know. It's just crazy. 58 babies who received mRNA COVID-19 vaccine suffered life-threatening adverse events. That's July 2022. Michelle Chusodowski. Mingelis from the FDA Mass Murder Advisory Committee discussed clinical trials for babies. A 17-month-old baby received a second dose despite multiple seizures from the first. Wow. Crazy. It's just so crazy. This is Paul Alexander on Ioannidis. Boom, Stanford's John Ioannidis proves again what Irish, McCullough, Atlas, J. Tucker, Tenenbaum, Bhattacharya, Gupta, Koldorf, Wolf, all school knew. COVID was not deadly for a vast majority. Low IFR. Criminal FDA hides records from Moderna vaccine approved and fabricates data to justify approval for injecting babies with mRNA bioweapon. Yeah. It's exposing the darkness. It's just a horror show. GW writes, on call today, had a 69-year-old male contact to report he's COVID positive and ill 2 weeks after getting the new bivalent juice. Boy, that was quick. Damn things just hit the market and already seeing the failures. Should be a busy winter. Follow up to this, I explained ivermectin to him and how it was, what I've been using with great success. He wanted it, so called it in. Get to work today to learn that he talked with a medical friend who was appalled that I was recommending horse paste, and thus he rejected the script or prescription. Wow. I think there's like the doctors that are dying in Canada are piling up. I think we're at 80 doctors now. Died recently. It's another guy who died. Keith, 33. Just ongoing Stories of death, murder, misery. That's it. Any questions, anybody? I'm at about 80 minutes. I mean, I have other videos. I'll try to get the sound better for those next videos that I put up. I mean, some of the sound quality obviously isn't up to specs, but it's not looking good. Should probably start praying. Should pray that this whole CDC injection. I went to the website that were the CDC, and they just there were thousands of people adding their voices and saying, "Don't do it. This isn't working. This doesn't work." So hopefully they'll listen to the public. Like, people are getting motivated, and that's a good thing. I think that they're just going to have hundreds of motivated people, thousands, really. I think you're going to see a real political shift. Something's going to happen where people become activists because their family member was injured or died. So if you have 10 million injuries in the U.S., think about associates of those 10 million people getting very angry. You could literally have 10 million angry parents, brothers, sisters, husbands, wives. And once that kind of gels, I know that these devils at the social media companies are trying to mind rape people, and ABC, CBS, and NBC, and all those other scum are trying to do that as well. But I think that once people start realizing it, they're slow to anger, but then I don't think that anger will ever go away. So thanks for listening. Have a great day.